Good morning. I may just be like a few seconds early, so I'm going to give it just a minute to see if anyone gets their notifications. So welcome to Pinky Mall's Cakes, Cookies, and Candy, or Pinky Mall's Sisters in the Kitchen, also known as. Mary is home today working on a recipe, so I'm cooking by myself today. We'll be together tomorrow. So I want to welcome everyone to our page. We hope that all of our new friends and followers will share our page and tell your friends, your family, your neighbors, your church family, tell them about us, and make sure that you're watching us on this page, not on one of the knockoff pages that take our videos. So this is the correct page to be watching us on. So it's a really windy day today. It's not March yet, but those winds are howling outside and it is blowing leaves everywhere. So it's going to be a really windy day. I'm sure there's probably boat advisories on the lakes around here. But thank y'all for joining me. I want to ask everyone, Mary is watching and also Carla's on the other end monitoring. Thank you both for watching and helping me out. I want to ask everyone today to tell me where you're watching from. I don't need the city. I just need the state that you're watching from. I know we have a lot of silent watchers that watch us that don't comment, but the giveaway today is going to be taken from the states. So be sure to just zip your state in there. If you're watching from Texas or Oklahoma or wherever you're watching from, just list that on there because somebody's going to win a nice prize. So be sure to put that on there. So today I'm making a breakfast tater tot and sausage casserole. Now it's going to take a little while to cook, so I'm going to do a second part of the video. I'll come back on and show you the finished product and also announce the winner. So first of all, I've got most of my stuff ready. My oven is on. It's preheated to 425. That's high, I know, but it's preheated to 425. I've got my burner on and my skillet hot to cook the sausage. But first of all, I wanted to just show y'all just a minute how I do the peppers. This is pepper jack cheese. I've got minced onion. I've got my seasonings, which is cayenne, salt, and pepper, just plain. I am using milk in the recipe. I said heavy cream, but Mike doesn't like the taste of heavy cream, so I'm just using milk today. I've got some butter to butter my casserole dish, and I've got eggs, and then I've got some red bell pepper. And we have a really nice chopper, and I could certainly chop these on the chopper, but sometimes you want something that's real uniform, and so I hand chop these, and I'm going to show y'all how I did it. I hope you can see this. Maybe I need to move this casserole dish down. So I've just got just a piece of red bell pepper, and for those of you who don't know, red or yellow or orange are sweeter than the green ones. They stay on the vine longer. So when they first come on the vine, when the garden starts coming in, they're green. And I'm not a gardener. I've had a few gardens in my life, but I'm not a gardener like my brothers are and like Mary's husband was. But I do know what I'm talking about because my Pinky Paw always raised big gardens. So if you want a red pepper and you're growing these at home, you just leave them on the line. Leave them on the vine until they turn red. And if you're gardening, you probably already know that. But I'm just going to kind of cut strips. They're not really julienne strips, but they're a little bit bigger than julienne. But I'm using my favorite knife, my 5-inch Sentoco knife. Very sharp. And like I said, I'm not a chef. I'm a cook, and I am a good cook. Mary and I both are good cooks. We don't cook exactly alike, but we're both good cooks. So I'm just going to line them up like soldiers, and I'm going to cut them and just get them pretty much even. Now, if you have some leftover bell pepper that you're not using, all at the same time. You can put it in a freezer bag along with, if you have leftover chopped or minced onions. I'm sliding them, they're not going to be exactly the same size. Put the leftovers in a freezer bag, wrap them real good, put them in your freezer, and the next time you need some, they'll already be there. You can buy these in a bag that's frozen, but why do that when you can do your own? So this is, you can tell these are pretty uniform, and I'm using a fourth a cup, so I'm just going to finish filling this up. And this gives this dish some beautiful color. And I've got these extra ones here, so I'll just put those up. I don't want it to just be covered in red peppers. And, you know, normally if I had something left over, this little bit, I just put it in there. But this is all I want in this dish is a fourth a cup. So I'll just lay that aside there and we'll move that. So now I'm going to go over to the stove. And I've tried my best to fix this camera stand to where it's not going to be too much of a problem with me by myself. So y'all bear with me a minute. I'm going to try to get it to where y'all can see what I'm doing, even if you don't see me. So I've got my 12-inch skillet. My burner's on medium. I'm going to turn it up just a pinch. I've got 1 pound of Jimmy Dean hot sausage. And don't let this fool you. This sausage is not hot at all. At least it's not in my opinion. Y'all know I like spicy. But I just split the middle open. This is 1 pound. And I'm going to put it in my hot skillet. And make sure I get all of that. I have to wash my hands again, but that's okay. I don't want to leave any of it in there. So we'll get this out of the way. And you're cooking the sausage until you get the pink out of it. But you don't want to cook it completely done. Now normally, if I was making this sausage for us to have sausage patties, I would put it in a bowl and I would add some sage to it. And I love sage and sausage. And I would add some sage and some hot pepper flakes in it. But I'm not doing that on this. So I'm just going to use my mix and chop. I'm hoping that y'all can see me and not see my back. Or see what I'm doing and not see my back. So I'm going to get this started. Just kind of break it up here. This is my favorite skillet, and it's Mike's favorite too. I'll turn that up just a pinch. Now, I did not put any grease in this skillet because sausage has fat in it, so I didn't need to add any extra fat to this. That'll start cooking in just a minute. And then I'm going to get my vegetables over here. So I've got minced onion here, and this is about 2 tablespoons of minced onion. You can put as much or as little as you want. It's really depending on you. I don't normally eat onions in breakfast food, but I wanted to make this recipe a little bit different, so I'm putting onions in it. And also the red peppers is going to give, you can see the uniformity of the little pieces that I cut. And this is going to give it a lot of good color. So let's get this, I'm going to move this around here. I remind myself of Mama making all this noise. And Mama she always made a lot of noise when she was cooking. I'm hoping that y'all are able to see what I'm doing. Now, if you wanted to use another kind of meat, you didn't like sausage, and you wanted to use bacon, or you wanted to get the Italian sausage, and maybe break it open like Mary does and use that with a little bit of different taste to it. You could do that. You could use bacon. You could use ham. You could use any kind of meat that you wanted. And if you're vegetarian, you don't have to use meat if you don't want to. Of course, this has got dairy in it, so I shouldn't even said that because I don't get into that all that kind of cooking like that. But if you don't want the meat, you could leave the meat out. We'll just leave it like that. Okay, so you just want to keep it broke up. It smells really good. The sausage smells so good cooking, and it's actually not a whole lot of fat in it, but it's got a little bit, but just not a whole lot. So is everybody listing their state? If y'all didn't hear me earlier, we want you to list the state that you're watching us from. That's where the winner is going to be chosen from, is from one of the states. Is there a reason a bell pepper has to be uniform? It's because Linda likes it to be uniform. Actually, if you cook something and you're cutting pieces, it will cook better if the pieces are all the same size. Like if you had a big chunk of an onion or a big chunk of red pepper, it's not going to cook as well as the small ones. And it just looks nice, you know, to me it does. Anyway, if you're not that particular, well, you know, you certainly don't have to do it like I did, but that's how I like it. Okay, so we want to get the pink out of it. And that's not quite there yet. I want so bad to add some pepper in this, but I'm gonna do that over there when I'm mixing it up. So I'm not going to add salt. I'm not adding a lot of salt to this anyway because we're using store-bought tater tots and they are salty, and the sausage has salt in it. But I am going to use a little bit of salt, but I'm going to add some pepper to it. So you can tell in this skillet, it's not a whole lot of fat in it, but there's enough. Okay, I still see some pink spots, but I'm going to go ahead and add. I'm going to go ahead and add some onion. I may not even use all this onion. I may just use about half of it. And again, you can use what you want to. If your family likes a lot of onion, we'll put a lot of onion in it. If they don't, well, don't put any onion in it at all. I am going to use the red peppers. That's 1/4 cup. Aren't those pretty? And you just want to cook this with the vegetables in there just another 3 or 4 minutes because you don't want to put it in there completely raw. And that's going to cook while that sausage is finished cooking, getting the pink out of it. When I cook patty sausage, and I make patties out of them, I like my sausage kind of crisp. But this here is going to be cooking some more in the oven, so you don't want to get it completely brown. You just want to get that pink out. We're almost there. So if you were going to do this and you wanted to do some pre-prep and have some of this done before the next morning, like if you had company and we're spending the night with you or coming over for breakfast, you could pre-cook this and put it in a baggie and put it in let it cool and put it in the refrigerator. And you could get all everything chopped, which you'd have to get it chopped if you cook your sausage because you're cooking your onions and bell pepper in here. It smells really good. But that would help you a little bit in your prep time. And then putting this together is not going to take that long to do after you get, okay, I'm going to turn this off. You can see it's not brown, but it doesn't have any pink in it. So I'm going to set this aside here. I'm going to grab some paper towel and just soak up a little bit of that oil because I don't want fat just standing in my dish. You ever get something that fat is just floating on top of it? Mike wouldn't touch that for nothing. He doesn't like a lot of fat and oil and stuff in his food. And this makes it, even though it's sausage, it makes it a little bit more healthier if you get some of the fat out. Okay, I think we're good there. Now I'm going to move the camera back over to the counter here, and we're going to put this together. And I have got my casserole dish here. Let me move this. So in my casserole dish, I'm going to put, I'm going to put just a little bit of melted butter. Don't want a whole lot, but it's going to give those tater tots some flavor, some extra flavor. So I'm just going to kind of lightly brush my casserole dish. This is a 9 by 13 baking dish. This is probably, I don't know, maybe a tablespoonful of butter that I'm doing this with. And if you want to leave this part out, you can leave this part out. I just thought that it would, it would give it a little bit of extra flavor to it. And when you're cooking, you want to build layers anyway. So this is just kind of gives it another layer. I'm just going to spread this in the bottom of the casserole dish. I'm going to get as much of that as I can, but I'm not going to put that little bit of extra grease in there. I'm going to leave that. So you want to spread it out even. So everybody that gets some of this will get some meat in it. Make sure you get it in the corners. The corners, when you're doing brownies or something in a square pan or rectangle pan like this, the corners is usually what gets left out. So make sure you kind of get enough in the corner to where it's not completely uneven. I think that's good. All right, give me just a second here. Now I'm going to set this side over here. See, isn't that pretty? And then I'm going to get my bowl, and I have got 6 eggs. I'm going to break my eggs here. And I always do these one at a time, and I'm going to sit down because I can already tell my back is already starting to hurt. Mary can stand up all day long, but I cannot. I have to sit down some when I'm cooking. Okay. All those years of being young and thinking I was invincible and thinking I could lift like a man, and later years in life you pay for it. These are extra large eggs. I don't think there's a lot of difference in the extra large and the large these days, but if you have small eggs or if you have fresh eggs that you're using, they tend to be a little bit smaller, so you might want to add a couple of extra eggs if you've got really small yard eggs. Okay, so that's 6 eggs. Move that over there and get my hands wiped off. And I'm a little bit stickler for wanting my eggs mixed up. Every time I do that, I do it the wrong way, and I know how to do it. The one without the label is the one that goes towards you, but I turned it around backwards again. Okay, so I'm going to beat my eggs up because I like the eggs beat well. I don't like them to where, there's a lot of white. When you cut into something, there's a lot of white and then there's yellow. I like mine beat. So that's how I do it. I'm going to go ahead and add my salt and pepper. And I'm only adding just about a half a teaspoon of salt, and this is just table salt. I'm going to add a teaspoon of black pepper. Oh, it smells so good. I love black pepper. I think if I was on my deathbed and somebody put black pepper in front of my nose, if I didn't come alive, y'all would know I was out of here because I love black pepper. Okay. And then I'm going to use, oh, I don't know, probably about 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne. And then I've got a cup of milk here. I'm going to add that. And this is just whole milk. And in the recipe, I put heavy cream. But again, Mike does not, he won't eat anything with heavy cream in it. So I'm using a whole milk instead of the other. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to mix this up really good. See a couple of spots of that cayenne that didn't mix up. I don't want somebody to get a big bite of cayenne and nothing else. I don't know why that didn't mix up in there. Okay, I think we're good with that. I'm going to put half of my cheese in this and just give it a mix. I think my little spatula's over there. This is 2 cups and it's Monterey Jack. You can use Monterey Jack, you can use cheddar. If you're going to use cheddar, I don't really like sharp, but I do like medium. You could use Colby. You could use any kind of good cheese, but I like the little kit to pepper jack, so I'm going to use pepper jack. This is about a little over 2 cups, so I'm going to put about half of it in here, and then the rest of it's going to go on top. Let me grab my spatula, and I got to get my tater tots out of the freezer. We'll talk about the tater tots in a minute, but I'm just gonna mix this in here real good. And then I'm going to pour it over the meat. This is going to be really good. I think it would be really nice to have, like, for a company casserole. And you also, if you do prep for the week, you can make this and bake it on Sunday, let it cool, cut it in squares, and put it in individual portions. This would be excellent to be microwave where you had your breakfast ready for, I don't know, depending on how many's in your family, maybe 2 or 3 days, maybe all week, maybe one day. You could even take this to work with you as a lunch. And I'm going to wash my hands again because I'm fixing to touch those tater tots. And I'm going to pick them up by hand because I want to put a single layer of tater tots. This is just a generic store brand of tater tots. This is 32 ounces or 2 pounds. So I'm just gonna, and they're frozen. I'm putting them in there frozen, and I'm just going to kind of layer them on a single layer. You don't want to just dump them in there. You want to kind of layer them. Make sure that, you know, there's some in all the spots. I can't quite even see it myself, so I'm going to have to pull it closer to me. Now, the recipe says, and I have cooked something like this before, but not this recipe. And it says to cook it for about 45 minutes. You know, your knife would need to come out clean when you inserted it, and because you want to make sure the egg is done. But I'm going to set my timer probably for 30 minutes and check it, just because I've never made this before. And if you wanted to be really particular, you could arrange these in rows and make them real neat, but they're going to kind of sink down, and so it's not going to be real noticeable if you've got them lined up like soldiers, or if you just got them in here like I'm doing them. You know, I know some people would just dump the stuff in here, and that's okay too. My mama probably would have. She said, Linda Faye, what are you doing putting them in there one at a time? Just dump them in there. But I just want to make sure that, you know, that every space is covered. And then we're going to cover these with cheese. So I thought it was going to be too many tater tots, but it kind of looks like it might take most of these anyway. I see a few little spaces here that I still need some. Now, back a few weeks ago, when I was trying to find these, I couldn't even find any in the stores. And then I was in Kroger one day, and I found a 5-pound bag, and I told my friend in California it was going to probably take us all summer to eat these, or I may have said longer than that. But we have cooked them a couple of times with breakfast, and there's not that many left in the bag. So don't freak out if a 5-pound bag is all you can find. You'll use them. Okay, so I think I pretty much got that covered. My hands washed, wiped off. Okay, so I'm going to sprinkle the rest of the cheese on here. I think this is going to be good. I was thinking about states this morning, all the states that I've been in and worked in and driven through, and I just thought, well, that would be a good thing to do is, you know, let everybody put where they're watching from. And I hate so bad that we can't include our overseas friends and our Canadian friends in the giveaways, because I would just love to be able to, but because of the cost of shipping, and you have to fill out a special shipping label when you ship overseas, and it's pretty detailed. It's not complicated, but it's detailed. So okay, so I'm going to put this in that beautiful. I'm going to put this in the oven and set the timer for 35 minutes, I believe is what I said. And I'm going to check it and see how much longer I need for it to cook. So I'll be right back. I'm going to get this in the oven. Okay, y'all know I don't like to work around mess, so I'm going to move some of this. I am going to do a little garnish on these, and I'll show you what I'm using. And I can just go ahead and cut these now, since I've got some time. So I'm going to put some green onions on top, just for color. And again, for people that grew up with a garden, or you have gardens now, everybody raises green onions, especially in East Texas. And these are little bitty. They probably be really big in East Texas, but we always use these. Sister Jean always used them in her dressing. She put fresh green onions in her dressing. I've already washed these, and you want to, when you get a bunch, you want to wash them and kind of wrap them up in a damp paper towel and put them in a Ziploc and put them in your crisper. And I've already done that, but I'm gonna cut the ends of them off. And green onions are a little strong, and probably, as far as, they do give flavor, but again, they're strong, but they're going to be really pretty on top of the casserole. So you can cut them at an angle if you want to. You can cut them, you don't want real big pieces. You just want some small pieces. And whenever you get your dish done, just take it out and sprinkle a few on top. Now, you'll want to let it cool. When it comes out the oven, you'll want to let it cool just a little bit, because you don't want it, when you slice it, you're going to slice it like you would a double brownie. So you would make your slices across the casserole baking dish and do like a long brownie, like probably around 4.5 inches long and maybe 2.5 or so inches wide. Now that's you know, a pretty way to do it. If you've got small kids, you would do smaller pieces. You would do smaller servings. If you've got a hungry man or a hungry eater in your family, you could do a big piece. You could do like a 4-inch square or something, but then just sprinkle a few of these on top, and it makes a really pretty presentation. And I'm also going to add some to this breakfast. I'm going to add some grilled rye bread. I'm going to do that. I'm going to be coming back on this video, not this video, but I'm going to be videoing, coming back on live again. I'll get it right in a minute. And I'm going to plate it with some grilled rye bread and with some of these sliced onions on top, and probably maybe a fruit cup. Sometimes if I serve a heavy breakfast, I want something light to go with it. So Mike and I love fruit cups, and when we say fruit cup, it's just a serving of mixed fruit. So I'll probably put an apple, banana, and maybe some strawberries in it, and that's just kind of like to go along with that hearty casserole. So a lot of times when I serve pancakes, I will do like a fruit cup to go with it. And a lot of hotels do that. When they serve breakfast, they give you a fruit cup. And it's just kind of like a refreshing taste after you've had a big meal like that. So I will be coming back on in a little bit to do that. But I was going to see, I cannot see unless I get up or unless I move the camera. So I'm going to tell y'all again. Now the drawings that we're currently doing, Mary and I are giving away something on every live on here on Pinky Moss. And what we're currently doing is giving away picking a winner from the people that are watching us live. We are not trying to slight anyone that has to watch us on replay, because many people work, they have doctor's appointments, you know, they have lives, they do things. They are not, everybody is not to where they can sit at their computer or their phone or tablet or whatever you watch on. So we are trying our best to figure out a way to do that so we can include people that watch us on replay in the drawings too. But for right now, we're doing the drawing from the live. So if you have not given us the state that you're watching us from, I don't know how many has said state, because I can see the comments, but I can't read them because I've got the camera pushed back a little far. Anyway, so talking about states, there are so many different places in the United States that I've had the privilege to go to, mostly when I was working. And, you know, it didn't cost me anything to go there unless it was a fee to get in. But when I first started traveling with my work, I tried to make it a point to go somewhere that I had not seen. And the way it worked with us, we had so many days, we drove fleet vehicles, we had so many days to get from point A to point B, and then sometimes we'd have several days off. We might have a couple of days off where we had to report to work. And I like to do my fun stuff before I started to work, because when you start to work, you know, you might not even have any time to do anything but work and come home and eat and rest and start over the next day. So I like to do my fun stuff first. So some of the my best memories of on the road. Of course, I've traveled on the interstate many times, but I like the traveling in the country and where the, where roads are not so necessarily just travel, but where people actually live. It's just not, you're not just on interstate with exits. So I love Salt Lake. I've always loved Salt Lake. I remember the first time I stepped off the plane there, and it was so cold. It was snow everywhere. And I had a coat. I knew, I'm a weather person, so I knew to be dressed warm. And when I got in that airport, oh my goodness, I am not a cold little old lady. I burn up. And that airport must have been 90 degrees, and that coat came off so fast. You walk outside and it's so cold, and it was just such a breath of fresh air because that airport was so hot. But I love Salt Lake City. I love Arizona. Colorado is beautiful. I drove from the Midwest all the way to Glenwood Springs, Colorado, and worked. I think they kept me there like 6 or 7 days and then sent me right back in the opposite direction. And that was, I got to stay at, let's see, was it Vail or Aspen? I stayed at one of those, and we always got to pick out fun places to stay at when we're traveling. They reimbursed us, a certain amount of money, and if it was over that, we had to pay it. But you could pick out some really neat places to stay. I went to Breckenridge. I loved Breckenridge, Colorado. I worked in Salida. I worked in Glenwood Springs. And a lot of times some of you will say something about a place. Like, I was talking to this lady the other day, and I don't know if you're watching now or not, but she's from Winona, Mississippi. And this doesn't have anything to do with me working, but it's a funny little story. There was some folks in our church that had some relatives in Memphis, Tennessee. That's where they lived. Well, Memphis from Jackson is what? Oh, no, I know somebody's going to correct me. I want to say it's about 225 miles, but I may be way off on that because it's been a while since I've driven that. But this kid, he was, I don't know, 15 or 16 years old, and I sang in a trio with it started out with me, Paula, and Patricia. And Paula had a high voice, and we all switched around on the parts, but I usually sang lead, and then Patricia sang alto, and then years later, not that long later, then Pam came in, and so it was me, Pam, and Paula that sang. And so he was real good friends with us, and he loved to hear us sing. He had so many recordings of us singing, and his name was Kelly, and God rest his soul. He passed on, and he was a lot younger than we were. He passed on several years ago, and I was just shocked when Sister Jean called and told me he had died. But he loved to be down there with us. And so he called me one night, and it was late. It must have been close to midnight. And he said, Linda, he said, I need for you to come and get me. And I said, what are you talking about, Kelly? He said, I'm in Winona and I'm out of gas. And I said, what are you doing in Winona? He was a kid. He wasn't even old enough. I don't think he even had a real driver's license. I think he had a permit. And he said, but you can't tell my mom and daddy. And I said, well, Kelly, I can't promise you that. And so I woke Sister Jean up and I said, Kelly is in Winona. And she picked up the phone and called his mom, Gracie. And she said, where is Kelly at? And his dad said, well, he's in there in bed. And Sister Jean said, I think you better go check because he's not in bed. They went in there and checked, and there was no Kelly in his bedroom. He had crawled out the window. They had a 2-story house. Crawled out the window and shimmied down and pushed the car out of the driveway and started that car and started toward Jackson, Mississippi. And he ran out of gas, and he didn't know what to do, so he called me. Well, needless to say, to make a long story short, Sister Jean went and got him, or no, I take that back. She didn't go get him. She called Gracie and his dad. They went after him. Winona's, I think it's about halfway between Jackson and Memphis, but I may be wrong on that too. I'm pretty good at geography, but I'm telling stories about things that I hadn't looked at in a while, so y'all don't hold it to me if I don't have that right. But we have laughed about that so many times over the years, and of course he got punished, and I'm sure they hid the keys from then on to make sure Kelly wasn't going to leave the house or something. But it was kind of funny. Kelly was a good kid. It was just he just wanted to be down there with us. But so many stories I have. I was in Lancaster, Pennsylvania on my birthday because I was out a lot working on my birthday. And we were staying at the Courtyard in Lancaster. And it's probably not pronounced that. I think it's pronounced Lancaster is how the locals pronounce it. And I probably might not have got that right either. But close enough, right? So Mary had ordered me some flowers for my birthday. And she called the front desk and she, told them that she wanted to make sure the flowers got to my room. And I think she kind of put the fear of God in them because she just adamant about these flowers have got to be in my sister's room when she comes in today. So when I got home that afternoon from work, back to the hotel, that was home on the road hotel, I had a beautiful bouquet of flowers in there for Mary. And the hotel had went out and bought me a little small cake and got a card, and all the employees signed it. And I thought that was the sweetest thing that they did, and completely unnecessary and not anything that I'd ever seen a hotel do before, at least not for me. And it had only been a few weeks before then that the office where I worked at, and this was in another location, had thrown a big birthday party for one of the workers. And, it was a nice little party. And Mary was just that was actually, it wasn't a few weeks before, that was a year before. And Mary was just making sure that I had something for my birthday and that people acknowledged me. And of course, she said stuff on my birthday. A lot of times Mike did too. But it was kind of funny because I wound up having a cake and flowers that time. And then, oh my goodness, Yakima, Washington. I remember Yakima so well when I was coming into Yakima, and that is apple country, for those of you who don't know. But there was stuff on the side of the road, and it wasn't grapes, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And it was just puzzling me because it was just field after field after field of these. And when I finally got to Yakima, I asked somebody, what is that they grow? And it was hops. And I guess that's what it's called. I'd never seen that grown. And it was just fascinating to me. So there's so many stories that I could tell about where I've worked, where I've been, and all the different places. Love Virginia. Every place that I worked in Virginia is just so special to me. It was just some really happy memories. I remember we were working around Chesapeake Bay area, and I knocked on this door, and I could smell food cooking, and it was an elderly couple, and I said, are y'all fixing to eat supper? And she just reached over and hugged my neck. I'd never seen this woman before. She said, I haven't heard that word in so long. She said, you come back, and she told me when to come back. And it was just really priceless because it's, you never know how you're going to connect with people. Of course, my accent, people was always fascinated with my accent, and I may or may not have used that to my advantage a few times while I was at work because it really does help. And I wasn't putting on, it was a real accent. But anyway, it's kind of comical to think about it. So I am just talking, and I'm not really saying a lot of stuff, but just thinking about all the states. I have been in every state in the United States, either worked or driven through it. I've worked in 46 of the 48 continental states. I've never been to Hawaii, and I've never been to Alaska, but I've worked with people, or actually they worked for me when I was a supervisor, that were in that in both of those states, and I'd love to go to both those states, but may not ever get to go. But anyway, it's fun to recall some of the happy memories that you have. And you know, Mama always taught us to make the best of things. It wasn't always fun and games traveling. You know, I missed home, I missed birthdays, I missed births, I missed people being sick, I missed weddings, I missed so much stuff being on the road, but I made the best of it. And I always tried to take away memories from where I was at. And there's probably not one county that I worked in that I can't tell you something that stood out to me that made a memory for me in that particular county in the United States. And I've worked in many, many, many counties. So it is about 1:15. Be sure to get on there, the state that you're watching us from, if you want to be in the drawing. If you don't, that's okay. I'm going to show y'all what I'm giving away. I'm giving away one of these knives. One of the Santoku knives. It's a 5-inch knife. This is my very favorite knife. It has a lifetime warranty, and it sells for $69, and that's what I'm giving away today. So if you want to get in that drawing, make sure that you got your state on here so we can choose someone for that. Now, when I call your name, when I come back on in a little bit, it's probably going to be about an hour. When I call your name, you need to text me your address, the winner, only the winner that's called out. Text me your address, and I need that within 24 hours. Your name and address to 903-238-3993. That's 903-238-3993. I've had that phone number for close to 30 years. And it was when I got that number, it was just something that it was my number. Acts 2:38, and then Mama was 39 when Daddy died, and so it's 3993, 39, and then 39 turned around backwards. And it's just when they always give you a list of numbers you pick from, and I said I want that one. And so I've had that number for many, 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 many years. So thank y'all again for watching. For those of you who are new, we do have cookbooks available. We only have one right now. We have Mama's book, and we have pink aprons and white aprons, and we have a children's apron that is red. And that is on our website at www.peakymalskitchen.com. And thank you again. I'll be back on in just a little bit. I've got to get my fruit together, and when this gets done and it's had just a little time to rest, I'll take it out and come back on and plate it and show y'all what it looks like and taste of it. So I love y'all. We'll be together tomorrow. Mary and I will be at her house cooking. So she's cooking something yummy. So be sure to plan on watching us then. Be sure to count your blessings and show kindness to someone. We're doing the 52 weeks of giving this year, and it has just blessed us so tremendously. There is nothing like giving. And I want to make sure that everyone knows that when you do something for someone, it does not have to be something that costs money. There are so many things that you can do for someone if it's nothing but a call or a text. If you have an extra plate, take it to someone that you think might enjoy it. You know, there's so many things that you can do that you don't have to go out and buy money to do it with. So keep that in mind when you think, well, you know, I don't have anything, or I can't do this, or I can't afford this. If you have a phone, you can always make a phone call. And you would be surprised what that means to some people that are shut in, or that maybe be feeling lonely. Maybe their kids have gone somewhere and they don't see their kids or their grandkids very often. And Mama was always lonely after we had a family get together and everybody would leave. So, and I know that you mamas and grandmamas can relate to that. So think about those people. And I'm going to get off here now. So I'll be back on in just a little bit. And thank you all again so very much. And I'll see y'all back in a little while. Bye-bye.